I saw this the other day on social media, which kind of cracked me up, which is true, is that I think companies have this idea that people are more productive in the office, but there are a lot of distractions in the office. What happens at home most of the time is like people just work and they work a lot. And that kind of creates this sense of like, is there work-life separation? I think we talk a lot about like work-life balance, but really this work-life separation is now work has really kind of elbowed its way into every part of our home existence. I mean, for me personally, I've been a remote employee in the various companies I've worked for in the last 5 years or so. And one of the things I learned when I first started doing that is that I missed that 20-minute commute. Now, granted, 20 minutes isn't that long, but it was a good way for me to kind of adjust and say, okay, I'm transitioning from working David, and I'm transitioning into husband and father David. And then when I come home, I can kind of be, ready for that. So maybe I'm listening to some music or a podcast or talk radio or whatever to kind of, be prepared to enter the home space. Now, my kitchen literally is like right there on the other side of the sliding door. So when I wrap up a call, I open the door and I'll just walk immediately in there to eat dinner or something. So there's no more separation. It's just kind of always up on top of you. And that's the thing that a lot of people have kind of learned from this working from home. So you've got this challenge of working from home. You're working all the time, right from when you wake up to right before you go to dinner. First thing you look at when your alarm goes off is your phone, and now you're getting, engaged on all of that kind of stuff. And some of us are blessed to have dedicated workspace. I'm fortunate to have this space in here, but a lot of us don't. We were sharing the space with the entire family. And while I think everyone would say that seeing the family more is good, most people need some privacy and separation for their work at home to be truly effective. And then you got companies that are looking at their P&L, and one of the top expenses on the P&L is people and then rent. Those two are always pretty much number one and number two. And so senior leadership's reading all these articles about how 30 to 50% of the workforce wants to stay remote and might quit if they're forced to come back to the office. One survey that we saw here at Prodoscore, they interviewed, I think, a couple of thousand people and asked them, if you had the opportunity to get a $30,000 a year raise to come into the office or forfeit the $30,000 a year raise and stay at home, what would you do? And 64% of the survey respondents said that they would forego the raise and continue to be remote. So you've got these employers looking at this empty office space, tumbleweed rolling through, the cubicles, and they're trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we bring people back, or do we not bring people back? Do we need to sublet this space? Do we need to sign a different lease? They're wondering, how do we build company culture if no one is in the office? So you've got employees chirping in senior leadership's one ear saying like, hey, I like being remote. I want to stay remote. You've got HR chirping on the other side of their ear saying, hey, we need to build culture. We need these people to want to feel connected to the office. How do we do that if they're remote? You got finance chirping at them saying like, hey, how in the world do we, continue to afford this expensive office space if no one's using it? You've got their security people chirping at them saying, hey, when we sent everybody home last March, we didn't do it with a cybersecurity plan. We just sent people home. Now we need to figure this out. And so leadership's getting bombarded from all these different sides with all these different, questions. And how do they figure this out? Like, what in the world is the path forward?